everyone, today's episode is super special to me. My guest is someone who truly embodies what it means to walk in purpose. She is a doctor by profession and a world traveler by passion. And when I said world traveler, I mean serious travel, y'all. She is literally on her way to touching every continent on this planet. Yes, this girl is very serious. But let's pause right there, because being a doctor is already impressive enough, isn't it? Well, she didn't stop there. She is also the founder of Becoming Magazine, a magazine for women made by women, created to inspire, empower, and highlight the journeys of women becoming who God has called them to be. And when I tell you this woman shows up for people, she shows up. She's a woman of God with a proven track record of championing not only the causes of her patients, but also the causes of women everywhere, through initiatives like Pearls Empowerment and events like Prayers and Pilates. She has created spaces where women can be poured into, encouraged, inspired, and reminded of their worth. She is brilliant, she is bold, she is beautiful, she is purpose-driven, and on top of all that, she is my good friend and sis. So today, I'm excited and honored and truly grateful to welcome our very first guest, by the way. Like, I was adamant that I didn't want anybody else to be my first guest. So please help me welcome Dr. Lashante Stubbs, better known to many of us as Shante. Now, what's crazy about that is, Shante, I was going to say none of that, so I only could imagine, sitting there like, bro, what are you supposed to do when somebody reading out your introduction and like, where she remember all these things from? How does even get in there? So guys, welcome Shante to the podcast. Hi, friend.
Hi, glad to be here.
So, I don't know, I think that, like I was saying before we started recording, I hope that this comes across as just a conversation between me and you. So I don't know how long we've been friends, honestly, but it's been feeling like forever.
Yeah.
And so what that then means is we have seen each other through a lot of different seasons. You were in Barbados when I was in Trinidad, so you were doing your doctor thing, I was doing my lawyer thing.
I think it was flipped.
Oh, I say it that way.
I was in Trinidad.
Oh, I know what I say. Okay, so you was in Trinidad, I was in Barbados. Yeah, that's where we were, guys. And even before then, we knew each other. So Pearls Empowerment, I believe, is how I was introduced to you.
Yeah.
Shout out to JD. JD's introduced everybody to everybody. So shout out to JD. And that's how I knew our introduction. But as far as like the traversing of our friendship, I can't tell how it naturally went. But honestly, it's been good for me. I'm been very, very grateful to have you as a friend, as a sister, and just someone who's like-minded. I think a lot of times you'd be like, Mother Sick, we going through the same things.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of conversations. We've not lived in the same place at all. I think from the very beginning,
like
but that hasn't stopped anything because we've literally still remained close. We've shared testimonies, we've shared hardships, we've shared prayer requests, and so I just hope that this episode comes across as just our WhatsApp conversations with other people here, but it's us.
Right.
It's just us. Okay. So you wasn't expecting this part either.
Oh Lord.
So welcome to Pop Quiz. So, what song do you currently have on repeat?
Ooh, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't have one song. I think I have a few of them.
Okay, take us to your playlist then, sis.
I don't know if I even want to say these songs.
Oh gosh, Olivia Dean on that?
Okay, let's start there then. So
Okay.
yeah, I think I'm kind of late to the Olivia Dean trend.
Okay.
I'm just getting on it now.
Okay.
So maybe Man I Need and, So Easy.
Oh.
I've been listening to those like rotating, yeah.
Okay. That's which one of them is your favorite?
Man I Need, maybe.
Just in case you're listening. Okay, so what's the last series you binge watched?
House of David. I don't know if you.
Oh, I
if you
saw
know
it
about that one.
on Prime Video.
Yeah, but I was watching it like on a bootleg site. So.
Oh, oops. Okay, I saw that and I was like, I started the first episode, but I was distracted. I don't like Chosen. I know a lot of people like Chosen. I
have mixed feelings.
Yeah, I don't even know about. It ain't even about content. It's something about me. Like I can't watch olden stuff.
Okay.
Like I can't watch
Like
Titanic.
historical.
I can't watch Bridgerton. I can't watch anything. Like anything that looks
Yeah.
like too far back, you lost me. So I feel like that's my issue with Chosen. House of David, the way that it started was a little bit better. So I said I can give it another try.
It is really good.
So 1 to 10, would you rate it?
I'd give it a 10. It's really good, yeah.
So I got to check in. So I know you have a book club. So what's the last book you read?
So actually, my book club just got done reading a book in February.
Okay.
I don't know when this is going to be aired, but yeah, but it was Counterfeit by Kirsten Chen, and it was really, really good.
Kirsten Chen?
Chen, yeah.
Counterfeit. Okay.
I think she's Korean, or maybe she's Chinese.
Okay.
But it was a really good read. It's about this lady. I think she's an attorney. And she was at this phase in her life where she felt like an imposter. And this lady from our past came and they got into like this counterfeit bag whole ordeal where they were selling, like they were going back to China, bringing counterfeit bags and selling them. So it's a very interesting story, but it was good. Overall, it was a fun read.
Okay. All right. I got to look into that. I'm trying to get into my reading bag too, but honestly, law school ruined that for me. But I can try again. What's one thing bringing you peace lately?
I would say my morning coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. I set boundaries around that, so I try to wake up like super early because it's just a moment for me to pause.
Okay.
My oat milk shaken espresso latte with cinnamon. So that's
no, you don't just go for that. Let's run it again. Oat milk
shaken espresso with cinnamon.
Okay.
Yeah.
What brand coffee? Because you have all kind of different brands.
It's not one brand, so whatever I feel in that day. Yeah. Okay. Whatever I feel in that day.
Love that. So what's your go-to comfort food?
My go-to comfort food, I would say dumpling soup. I love Bahamian food.
Okay.
Like
so pea
soup and dumpling. Okay. Yeah, like that's comfort food for me.
Okay. Well, I guess this does not need to be asked. It was coffee, tea, or matcha. Based on what you just said.
Coffee for sure.
You don't like matcha?
Oh my goodness, no. Matcha is like, you like matcha? No. I can't be having this. I feel like matcha tastes like blend up grass, and I think I told you this before.
I don't want our friendship. I don't know.
I do not like matcha. I promise you. It's a no.
All the places you've traveled, have you tried to try them different places?
No. I had it one time like years ago.
And I hope it wasn't no Starbucks matcha.
It was from Starbucks and it tasted
no Starbucks
horrible.
It's trash.
No.
Oh my gosh, we can talk about this off here.
Coffee.
Ew.
Coffee all the way.
Coffee all right, but matcha's that girl. Anyway, morning person or night owl? Based on what you just said, it kind of gave morning
I'm
person.
Definitely a morning person.
All right. So you travel all over the place. What's your favorite place that you've traveled thus far?
Thus far, I would say Monaco.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say that's my favorite. My second favorite would be London.
Okay, no, I love London down.
Yeah.
I was just telling someone that it was like, of all the places, I think anywhere in Europe, honestly, but something about London, it gives me New York, but not New York.
Right.
I think what I like about New York is that there's always something to do, and honestly, as soon as I touch down in London, it's be like, I could live here. That's the only place that I've ever been to, other than Austria, that I was like, I could actually live there. Everywhere else, it'd be like, 1 week, wrap it up, I'm ready to go back home. Like, but London, something about it, and I feel like, I don't know if this is a sign, Lord, but every time I go, it's like, we could lock in.
Yeah, everybody says the same thing. I feel like for me, like London is like 3 New Yorks, and it's not as, I feel
dirty.
like you get this, right, I didn't want to say it, but it's not
dirty.
As dirty. I feel like it's more space to breathe. It's not as, it's hectic, but it's not like New York hectic, so I like it.
It just give a good vibe. I really do love it. Okay, what's your favorite scripture right now? Like, what's anchoring you right now?
Oh, it's a few of them. I would say, and it may sound cliche, but Jeremiah 29:11, but I like it in the Passion Translation because it kind of explains, like it breaks it down a bit more.
Like what that actually means. Okay.
Right. So, yeah, Jeremiah 29:11, but not like the typical, I know the plans, but I think the Passion Translation, it goes like, it says like, I know the plans in detail, like it gives it a little bit more.
Like what the plans actually is. So like it anchors you because it's like, okay, I know all of these things. So I know the details concerning your life, basically. Yeah. I like that. And I think Passion is TPT.
Yeah, the TPT
version. So if y'all want to, I remember that when I logged onto the Bibles today, I remember y'all doing TPT. And from then, like if it's a certain scripture where I want a little bit more detail or like explanation, I would go to TPT. So so that's the end of our pop quiz.
Okay. It's like, I don't know where this is going.
Okay, so like I said, the whole purpose of this is for them to get a little snippet of our conversation. Now, when I was trying to figure out what we was going to talk about, because we really could talk about a lot of stuff, I was just like, recently, I think, to be fair, I don't think it's recent. I think when I think about our friendship, I think about our personalities, I think about our journey thus far. So both careers are ones that required us to be in school for forever.
Right.
I think we spent a majority of our, I guess you could say, adolescent is teen, whatever come after teen, young adult years for the most part, 20s, I could say, primarily in school. And then I think now that we have done, well, not even really done, because we're both always trying to figure out new ways to learn and continue to be in school. We're just naturally academics, I guess. But nevertheless, I think one of the things that stands out to us is stands out about both our journeys in relationship and friendship is that we, I think, always talk about the fact of, I can't wait to get to the next, or like I can't wait to be done with school was where we were at one point. I can't wait to be done with whatever particular thing that we would have been happening. Is always like, okay, our mind is on to the next thing. And so the thing that came to my mind was about us becoming.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at in my life, like 30s for me. And I don't know if I want to give this the word, but if I had to give my 30s so far a mantra, it would be becoming. And simply
Same.
because I'm trying to become whoever God has called me to be. And that is literally a lot. Because one, you have to figure out who God called you to be. Then you have to figure out how to get there. And then we're millennials. We're hot gals. So we try to deal with different things. You want to travel the world. We got to deal with these men. You got to, all the things. So it's like this journey of becoming. So our conversation is going to be centered around that. And so I guess my first question would be, because it isn't a matter, I'm not going to ask you if you feel as if you're called by God. That's evident. And I guess in the conversation we'd speak about that. But when did you first realize God might be calling you to something bigger? And bigger in the context of not just career, not just a regular, but you feel like you're called for more.
Okay. So I think I've always known, especially as a kid, like my mommy she would tell you, like, I was always a dreamer. You know, I always wanted, like she would say, like, to live the high life or whatever. But I feel like I always knew that I was called to something bigger. However, as I navigated life, like, I felt, I guess, more obligated to stick to one path, you know what I mean, and just go with medicine. But not until, like, after completing medical school and working, like, I realized, like, okay, I'm coming up, I guess, to a lot of roadblocks in certain aspects, and hitting those roadblocks multiple times, it kind of put me into a space where it's like, okay, you have to sit down and think, like, are these things happening because, you know, it's just what it is, or is this God saying, like, this might not be for you in that way? So I think now, like you mentioned, like 30s is about becoming. Now I'm realizing that, okay, maybe what I'm called to is bigger than just what I'm trying to do right now in the season, if I'm making sense.
No, you definitely making sense.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I totally get that. And so my follow-up question to that would be, do you think millennials struggle with the idea of the calling, and if so, why?
Oh yeah, we definitely struggle. I don't know about, I can't speak for other millennials, but I was raised, I think my mommy and my daddy, they might be boomers, maybe.
Okay, yeah. Most of our parents are. Most millennial parents are boomers.
I think it's I don't want to say a consequence, but I think it's as a result of that, because we're taught, like, okay, go to school, get the career, get a job, stay within the safe lane. And if what you're called to do is outside of that, then it's a problem, because, for example, people who may want to be artists, like their parents, they're in there and that. If they're anything like my parents, you know what I mean? Like, you have to stick to this career, either doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever it might be. But I think we struggle with calling because for so long we've been told that
calling has to look a certain way.
It has to look a certain way. And if it doesn't look a certain way, then we feel uncomfortable, because they make us feel uncomfortable, whether it's explicitly or, you know, whether it's implied.
That's an interesting connection, because I wouldn't have looked at it like that, but I get it, because what you're basically saying, and I think that's true, again, for most millennials, our boomer parents they had this particular mindset of, this is what prosperity looks like, this is what success looks like, because in that time, those are the persons that were successful. And one of the things that stood out to me is that I think I was having a conversation either with my brother or someone around, one of my colleagues, and I was saying, long gone are the days where success looks a certain type of way. And even outside of the success, the bigger thing that I try to harper on to, or in conversations with other believers, is that, listen, you're successful when you do what God has called you to do. And that's why it's interesting on one end, because boomers look at it as far as success means that you are in a great career, or your life looks a particular way, things along those lines, stability, like you just said. And then the other side of the coin is what happens for those of us that were raised by non-believers. You and I don't have that story. But I wonder, for those millennials that came into the faith after coming out of the home, or whatever the case may be, in their adult years, it's like, oh, now I have to divorce my career from that of calling. And so I need to now walk in what my calling is, and my calling may have nothing to do with what my career is. And so how do you deal with that? Because that is a real thing. I think even for me, if you ask me anything about 20s, Sister Girl was just trying to become a lawyer. Once I became a lawyer, I was like, I just need to try to be the best lawyer I could be, And then I realized I hate this thing. And so it's like, oh, and then I didn't feel satisfied. Like, even after, like, literally at my bar call day, it was so underwhelming. I was like, I do all this for this? Like, literally, I didn't
go to my medical school graduation. I'll just put that in there.
That's true, you didn't?
I did not walk.
Oh, y'all crazy nice and get me to do that. I fight for that bar call because it was like, no, like I need a ceremony. I need to be able to walk into that. So no, I wasn't that bad. But I get it. I really do get it because you and I both talk like we don't ever sit and celebrate and be like, okay, we always on to what's the next thing.
Next?
And that is so crippling. That's another
dangerous,
episode altogether because we never feel satisfied. Like we legit have to like look through ourselves through the lens of other people, and I don't think that we do that enough.
Nope.
And it's crazy because the two of us be gassing each other up and be like, girl, you da da
But
da.
you can't do it for ourselves, right?
Dead weird. But it is what it is. So I like how you spoke about that, and that just really stood out to me because I just wonder how many other persons have that reality of I grapple with calling because I equated calling to that of my success, and it's not that. And that's a real thing. Okay. So next, knowing you're called but feeling stuck. So that's what we getting into right now. How do you deal with the internal battle of being called? So when I say internal battle, just to flesh it out, like I know I'm called for more, but I feel like I ain't sure, and then I don't know how to traverse in this calling.
Yeah, I think I don't think I have much to give in that regard because I'm still somewhat there at that place where I feel like I know that I'm
So you
called.
in the internal battle.
Right. To a certain extent, like I know what it is I need to do, but I think it's the execution that might be the biggest battle. So I can't really say I know how you handle it, but what I've learned is that it took me a longer time to kind of embrace it, and I think most people, we have to do the work to first sit down and say, okay, what is it that I'm called to do?
Okay.
And how does it look? And I feel like once you get an idea of what is it you're called to do and how it might look, then moving forward, it might be a bit easier. Because if you don't know, if you just feel like you're called, but you don't know what you're called to do, then it's like, okay, how are you gonna do something that you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing? I don't know. But that's how I feel about it.
No, I get that. And I think just to add a little more language to it, when we talk about the internal battle, because you're saying, well, I don't really know how to get over that because I'm in that battle right now. I right there with you. And I think giving language to it for persons to try to figure out what does that mean. And the thing about it, what I really want persons to get from this conversation is that they're not alone. And so for most persons, so for those of you that are already tuned into episode 1, you know that was about what is your vision statement. And a lot of the responses that I've gotten thus far from that episode has been, oh my gosh, I feel like this was for me because right now I'm in the state of trying to figure out what's going on. And most of the persons, just like I said in that episode, are persons that have already done the correct thing. So I've already done the correct thing. I've already become the doctor, the lawyer, the accountant. I've already had the children. I'm already married. And it's like, okay, what's next?
And that's where it's exposed, I realized. Like after, I think we've been so busy, especially in our 20s, like pursuing a career, going after certain goals. It's like, okay, after you've achieved this, now you're faced with the reality of like, am I really called to do this? Am I really fulfilled doing this? And that's why so many of us now, you know, maybe in our late 20s or early 30s now, we're at that wall where it's like, okay, am I going to continue doing something that I may not be called to do? Or am I going to pivot? Or what do I do? You know, and that's why I feel just like you, I agree, like my 30s is about becoming, because now it's almost like I'm discovering this whole new person and trying to navigate this whole new terrain. So
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, and I just want people to have language for that because what I got from that episode, what I get from conversations with other friends is like literally I feel like I start in life all over again and becoming, and the thing that I think we as believers, and it's weird because we're not new believers, and so I don't want to just equate this to new believers, but one of the things that I always come to in my mind is being born again means that you have to die. And so I think when it's Paul that talks about dying daily.
I think it's, yeah.
I think it's Paul.
Paul loves to talk about dying.
Yeah, he love about that. So, so in dying daily, I think one of the things that I try to kill daily in dying daily is this notion of life has to look a particular way and killing my thoughts about what life is supposed to look like, because I think that's a part of the internal battle, the grappling of, I think I should be doing this, or life should look this way. So I get that, and I just want the listeners to understand that you're not alone in that. Like, we all get it, and it's not, and the thing I want to point out too, because sometimes persons may be our age and trying to get into their careers, thinking that they'll be satisfied once they get there. And I think one of the words you used just now that I like is that you said you feel unfulfilled, and that was the thing for me. That kills me. Like I've never really gotten to the place in my life where I feel fulfilled in what I'm doing. Like I always feel like I could be doing more, and I'm not satisfied. I'm not gratified. I'm like, girl, something wrong with you. And I think it's because And the only times I ever do is when I feel like I'm doing anything relative to my calling. And so that's an
Same.
indicator for me, like, yeah, all those other things are good things, mind
Yeah.
you, but it's not the purpose thing.
Right.
So that's why you don't feel fulfilled. And I keep praying for that. I'm like, Lord, never let me be satisfied in something that you didn't call me to do. I don't want to be satisfied. Make me feel uneasy. Make me feel annoyed. Like, and that's a little dangerous.
I was just
Y'all
gonna
be
say
talking
that's
about
a
that
heavy
refiner
prayer.
song. No, that's dangerous right there. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure y'all understand. Y'all ain't the only one. All right. What do you think? Oh no. Why? Why do you think so many people stay in the knowing but not moving stage? Just now you talked about execution.
Yeah.
And you also sound as if you may be in the stage of the knowing and trying to figure out the
In
execution.
certain regards, definitely. Run the question back again.
Okay. Why do you think so many people stay in the knowing but not the moving stage, like the doing? So I know what I'm supposed to be, where I'm supposed to be, but I ain't doing it.
I think it's hard. It's easy to have an idea floating around in your head, but when it comes to execution, it's extremely difficult. And I've learned, I don't know if anybody else can relate to it. It's harder when you don't have help. It's harder when you're doing something that nobody's done before. You don't have like a blueprint. You don't have anything that like a framework that you can draw from or look at. So I think that's the most difficult thing. We don't have help and we don't know where to start. I feel like starting might be our biggest hurdle. Yeah, I think it's starting because I feel like once you begin, sometimes we don't follow through, but I feel like sometimes the biggest hurdle is actually
the starting part.
Yeah.
I like that, and I would add to that because in drafting the questions, I said the same thing. I was like, Tony said, what is your issue? Why is it that you struggle with knowing what you're supposed to do, knowing what to do, and then like not doing it? Execution. In the first episode, I talked about the fact that the theme for this season, I keep saying semester, crazy. This season is going from vision to execution, and I would say the light bulb that went off for me this week is self-reliance. So it's this self-reliance of, I need to get me where I need to be and not relying on God to get me where I need to be. And I say that to say because a lot of times it's me trying to figure out what my next steps are. So I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to be this type of person, I need to do that. And it's like, yeah, you do, but have you sought God on what your next steps are and more reliance on Him? Like taking myself out of the equation, stop thinking I'm self-sufficient because I'm not, and understanding that the call is bigger than I am, so I need to rely on who's bigger than me.
Right.
And so that's a huge part of it. So I think that may be it too, starting, but also not relying on yourself.
And then I would also add too, I don't know if you can relate to this, but I think something that's kind of like put me in a place of holding back or not really executing to is past failures, or maybe I wouldn't even say failures, but doing something and not getting the response or that you probably would have hoped for, and I think sometimes it kind of...
I think you miss it. It'd be like, I miss it.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, I did this before and I put so much work into this. I didn't get
And
the
it
result
flopped.
that I wanted. So you're kind of hesitant to put yourself out there again in that way.
Past failures is a thing.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is, well, for me, I say in flop, and I feel like the reality is sometimes, again, the way we measure success is so weird.
Yeah.
And I think that I've asked God to show me that even when I, quote unquote, fail on a thing, kudos to me for even trying, kudos for me for even doing, kudos for me for even showing up. And when I think about even successful people, even in the secular world, like if you listen to their stories, that's why I love to listen to different interviews, listen to people's journey and realize most of these people, and the thing is, you ain't even walking in faith. They walking in self-reliance.
Yeah.
But it's this consistency, this dog in them, if you will, like I ain't giving up. Like I'm going to keep doing, I'm going to consistently push and try this thing, irrespective. And I'm like, a lot of us who are believers really need to tap into that because it's like we have all of heaven backing us. And you just need to be reminded that even if you, quote unquote, fail, keep going.
Yeah.
Like, don't stop.
Yeah.
So I fully agree with that. So the next question is, have you ever delayed obedience because you felt unprepared?
Oh, all the time.
This is like, have I ever?
Yeah, all the time.
That's
Story of
normal.
my life. I mean, I'm not proud of it, but I have. I've done it on more than one occasion. Yeah.
Same this. It's normal for me too. I be like, yeah, girl, you got to get out your head. Okay, so following up from that, have you ever felt like you weren't qualified for what God has called you to?
Oh, all the time.
And how do you deal
All
with
the
it?
time. I don't look at my qualifications. I just do what I have to do. You know what I mean? I think I train myself too. It's like, okay, you don't have to feel ready, or you don't have to feel prepared, or you don't have to feel like you belong to show up. I think sometimes we make ourselves, or we put ourselves in this frame of mind, like I have to feel it. You don't always have to feel it. And I think medical school teach me that because plenty of times I wasn't feeling a lot of things, but I still had to show up. I still had to do those exams. I still had to go to rounds. You know what I mean? Like you still have to show up regardless of whether you feel like it or not.
Or
so
not. If you feel ready, you feel
Right.
confident. I like that. I like that. I think too. Speaking of that part, like about the whole, you don't focus on the qualification. Going back to what I was saying just now about people that I find make it, and even in our own little space, and we talk about this on the side.
the audacity.
The audacity and the little delusion.
I know. Yeah,
I feel like
delusion.
a lot of us could do what these people doing in our
Yeah.
sleep. And a lot of you walk in certain rooms or you scrolling on your For You page and you're like, this
Yeah.
person platform is based off of nothing
Yeah.
or like, I see nothing substantial. But one thing I could say is I can't ever talk bad about them because I could tell you, having to be in front of a camera and doing these particular things requires you
a
to
lot.
really have the audacity and have the faith in yourself and have your faith in God that, listen, this can work for those of us that are believers. And more than that, like being a little delusional, like it can work.
Yeah.
Like being delusional, like I got this. And this ain't bigger than me. Like I'm bigger than the
think
program.
I probably should have prefaced it with that too, because the lack of me not worrying about qualifications came from the fact that you have people out there who definitely ain't qualified, but they doing it. So you don't have to feel qualified.
And they have followers
because-
and they have money.
Oh yes.
And we are literally called and designed to do a particular thing. I honestly sometimes I think about it, I just be like, I know God probably just be like, bruh, just if you would just done this, if you would just get out of your head and do the thing,
Yeah.
you don't even, like just that one step, you don't even understand what's on the other side of that. Like
Exactly.
I've already equipped you, I made you, I know what you're capable of doing, just do it.
Yeah.
And just be like, I don't really know.
Sometimes
like,
you just have to show up.
facts and
Yeah.
do the thing. Like today was that. Like I was like, I can cancel this episode like 3-4 times in my mind. Just like, it just ain't working. Too much things ain't happening. I don't feel well. And I'm like, nah. Like every single time it's time for me to do something for this podcast, I start feeling incompetent. Things start going awry. And I'm like, nah. I'm gonna keep doing
do
it
it,
until I get past all of that. Because I ain't gonna go nowhere.
Yeah.
And then y'all gonna be asking me again where the episode. And I can't say to y'all.
No, you
oh,
know
I
they
felt
be
like I'm
harassing.
just a junta. Like nobody listening to me. Like I'm making no
This one
sense.
is harassment now.
It
When
is.
is the next
And
episode coming out?
legit. And then even aside from that kind of harassment, I feel like it's also the devil harassing me because even on my way here, I was like, listen, like back, like please leave me alone, like shut up, like I had the
always
music
resistance.
loud because I'm like, you just gotta stop. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why when stuff started going around, I'm like, anyway. I'll go,
Yeah,
we
carry
getting this done
on,
today.
carry
Yeah,
on.
like you're gonna have to understand. Like she done passed that. You have to try something else. Okay. So speaking of all of that, where do you think imposter syndrome comes from? Like what is that rooted in?
I think it comes from comparison.
Talk it.
Yeah, because I've learned that when you see someone else show up in a certain way, you don't get the background noise. You just see them. You don't know what they're thinking, how they feel, if they feel qualified or what they really have going on internally. So we see them show up. They show up confidently. And then we know not only us, but we know what we're thinking. We know how we feel. And I think that's where it comes from. So we're comparing ourselves to other people without realizing that we only get half the picture, you know?
I like that, and I like the comparison angle that you took. I wouldn't have taken that, but there's such value in that, and I'm happy that you shared that because that is the way to look at it.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing for me too is when you say comparison is, if I don't look the way the other person looked, then I'm not qualified, then
Right.
I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, I think I continue to remind myself that my lane is my lane, and also being reminded, and interestingly enough, especially with this podcast, just being reminded that. There are already listeners assigned to my voice. There are already receivers assigned to whatever ministry that God has me to follow and do, follow through and do. And so what I have to be reminded of is you have your people, I have my people.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they're different laborers for the kingdom. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Harvest is plenty, laborers are few. So I just have to remind myself, like, there's a huge harvest out there. Like, don't be so fixated on how it's supposed to look. Just do the thing and know that God has already ordained you for that and for the people that'll be, your listeners. Yeah. And it's hard because I compare myself and I'm like, oh, their camera quality a little different. They have a whole crew, they have a whole team behind them, or their life, they have time to do this stuff. And I'm just like, girl, like, just do it. Like, and even if it's 1 or 2, and I also take numbers away from it. And I give you a little tea. So my whole goal to the end part of last year was try to be a little more consistent on TikTok to grow my little numbers on TikTok or whatever. Because I'm like, you got to be consistent. You got to do the thing.
Yeah.
You got to be always on the algorithm. You got to try my numbers is growing. I was like, I starting to feel like, a little thing. Then I start going on the thing. The followers numbers going down. The first follower that I lost on TikTok, I was like, how do you know who it was who lost you on TikTok? How do you find out who unfollowed you?
Who's the same
Going through. Yeah, and my partner was like, is a hater in the midst? Is a hater amongst us? I need to know who this is and why would they unfollow me? Did I post something wrong?
Right?
Did
Like,
I not?
what
And
did I do?
I thought it would eat me alive. And like after it started, I know in the end of last year, it was just one. Like let's say probably within a space of time, probably lost 3. And I was like, you don't know if that person decided to delete TikTok. You don't know if they unfollowed because they would never sit. You understand? It could have been a bot.
Yeah.
You don't know if they followed you, didn't realize that you was a believer, and they just like eyeing on that run or whatever the case may be. And then also it don't even matter.
Exactly.
And what I decided to do in that moment was like remove this whole focus on numbers and all the things. And that's why I think you have to literally build yourself in a way where you are, it ain't bulletproof. We have to find a word for it. I can find the language for it.
I don't want to say resilient.
It is that. It is that. Being resilient.
Or just not caring.
Being resilient, not caring, and making sure your focus is in the right place.
Yeah.
And for me, the numbers were important because in order for you to share, in order for you to build a platform, like numbers, like, we can't move ourselves away from that. But again, it goes back to what I said earlier on. Like, I am no longer relying on me.
Yeah.
Like, God, you have me here. I didn't ask you a couple times if I could step away from this. You ain't never give me the okay, so that means you leave me here. And you know how this is going to work. And I think the best part of any story is when we could be like, God gets the glory from it. I ain't attaching myself to nobody. I ain't doing the people that say join the Illuminati. For the people who in the music were like, we ain't got to do nothing. Yeah. We ain't doing none of that. We just being obedient. And so I like that. You have to be resilient. And we can find a word for bulletproof, but it's not bulletproof like whatever proof to just say, irrespective of what happens, we can go through. So I like that. We just talked about it. My next question would have been, do you think comparison and social media makes this worse for millennials?
Yeah, for sure.
Most definitely.
For sure.
And we need to take, how do you feel about, okay, we acknowledge that social media, even though this is where y'all at, we love it, we love when y'all here. Even though social media has its purpose, and we need it for what we want to do. You're on TikTok, I'm on TikTok, we're in all the things. Our platforms requires us to be there because that's where the people are. How do you find that balance between being social on social media and just being like, ugh, I don't really want to be here and all the things and balancing that? Like, how do you do? Because I need help.
I don't even think I have a balance. I really don't. Like, I don't like social media. But like you say, I need to be there. That's where the people at. So I really just post and leave. I'm sorry. I wanted to post and leave people. Like, every now and then I may get sucked in to like the scrolling, but
for the most part, it's just
I don't anymore. I post and leave. I try to avoid my homepage. I don't really do the For You page. Like, I'm the responsible one, but I don't be interested anymore.
Just like, so do my job and leave.
Yeah. But I realized, like, on platforms like TikTok, it may be hurting my performance a little bit because I heard that TikTok rewards engagement. So it's like you can't just post and leave. Like, you have to stay there and like.
You got to pop in for your benefit.
Right.
You have to interact with other people.
You get to share. You get to add to favorites. You get to like.
Okay.
Yeah, but
again, like you said, however, I like that. So I grapple with that a lot, and I think one of the things I always talk about social media is.
Oh, and also not interrupting you, but you don't trust me with my boundaries. I love. What's the thing? The not interested.
Oh yeah, click that. Yeah, me too.
That's my favorite button. Favorite button.
So you don't got to see that no more.
What? On Instagram, I would put it's irrelevant. That's my favorite one. So why it's irrelevant. Yeah. And then on TikTok, I love to do not interested, and then I put creator, and then any other crazy tags that I don't want to see. So
they know not to put that on you. So I like that because what you're talking about is not just setting boundaries, but being careful about what you see. And I think that's so important for this particular conversation because even for me, and I can tell you, like, I have to make sure that I don't become a hater just because I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. And here's what I mean by that. There are certain creators internationally, locally, that I look at, I'm like, oh my gosh, I really would like to just do this. And that's very few and in between. And it's normally persons that are faith-based. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I don't ever want to become envious. I think there was a quote going around like, do what you're supposed to do so you don't be envious of people who are doing it. And I found myself not being all the way there, but I could see myself getting there. And then I like TikTok more than any other platform because I know what my algorithm look like. I just go on TikTok for jokes and it don't ever miss. And I also go for like, different health tips, career stuff. I just like the variety that's on TikTok as opposed to anywhere else. I don't do the Facebook thing too much. I'm there, but I got to talk about that offline. Like,
it is what it is.
Yeah, it too do. Like, it ain't for me. And Instagram, cool too. But again,
Instagram is becoming like Facebook to me.
Oh,
it's a tough crowd over there. So I think I prefer TikTok.
Yeah, light and easy. And I don't really know nobody. I don't know y'all. We just here to laugh. You comment, you move on.
For the vibes.
It's lighthearted. Like, we don't take life too seriously over there. But the crippling part of that is the whole thing that creeps in about comparison and seeing people doing it, feel like I'm not doing enough, or that camera quality is better, or this looks a little bit better, or I should do this. And it's like, nah, like, it's okay to be inspired, but at the point where it causes you to compare and feel like and degrade your own walk and your own purpose, I just have to be very careful of that. And a lot of times I'm like, okay, I'm just going to put that down. And when I see that start happening, I pray against it. So it's very real. And I think we have to be very careful about how we compare ourselves to those on social media. You said it earlier on, you don't know what's going on behind the scene. You don't know the work that they had to put in. You don't know, they may be feeling the same way you feel, but they still move forward in any event.
I would say too, like, I've learned that there is a thin line between what people would consider being a hater or being triggered and just being wise. If you know you can't handle something, then turn it off. You're not being a hater. You're trying to, it's self-preservation.
I like that.
I'm big on that. So I may not necessarily hate you or even want what you have, but you're making me feel some type of way, and I don't want to see your content, you know, and that's just what it is for me. So a lot of things I just remove out of my view so I can focus more on what it is I'm supposed to be doing on my journey and my path. No hard feelings, but you ain't helping that, so
step aside.
I don't need to see you.
Step aside from me, friend. I get it. No, I agree with that. That's wise right there. Okay, so what would you say are the biggest fear, or is the biggest fear that stop people from stepping into their calling?
I would say the fear of failure, and also life not looking like you would want it to, or even the results not looking like, because it's the same thing, like when you put yourself out there and you decide that I'm going to do this, you expect it to look a certain way, and if it doesn't, you don't want to feel that discomfort or that disappointment. So I feel like a lot of people just, again, for the sake of self-preservation, they just don't do it at all, or they hesitate because it's like, I don't know how this is going to go, and if it don't go good, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to be in that, you know, so that's what I think is, you know, the main thing that keeps people in that place.
I agree. I don't know that. I think that really is it. It's that for me. I know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about balancing the call with real life. So you do a lot of things. I started to list the stuff before, and I think I said it to you privately. I'm going to continue to say it publicly. I think that you are honestly one of the people that I look to when I talk about someone that has made sure that the life that they have is the one that they want, and they can never stop trying. And the doctor, to me, honestly, you could have stopped there. And even before you became a doctor, like I said, my introduction to you was Pearls Empowerment in Nassau when we both first moved here. She didn't mention, I didn't mention, oh my gosh, in your introduction, I didn't mention that you were a Luther Pineapple.
I was going to put it in at some point. You know, I was trying to find a way to bring you Luther in. But
that's crazy. Y'all, trust me, y'all Luther girls, make sure before y'all tell people your name, I'm serious, it's a pineapple emoji. Oh gosh. So yeah, she's in Luther Pine, guys. Oh gosh, y'all know, if you know for them, you know. So, sorry for not even mentioning that from the beginning. Hailing all the way from Eleuthera. So, yeah. So, we both came from Rhode Island to Nassau. You had been doing biology at that time?
Yeah,
or chemistry?
Biochemistry.
Yeah. So, you already have, to me, that was never an easy major at all, from what I heard. Science, I think, but I know it looked hard, so I sure it's hard. So, you were already doing that, and you still found time to create Pearls Empowerment. And so, from then, like, even from inception to me, you were always making sure that not making sure, but you were balancing calling and career in that sense or whatever else. And you've continued to do that. Like, you're a doctor, you're still traveling all over the place. You still, to me, again, I know you personally, so I watch the way you show up for friends. I watch the way you show up for family. Becoming Magazine, Prayers and Pilates. I see you all the time on somebody's panel. I see you all the time traveling to different things for work. So to me, it's like, I know you may not think so, but I think you're the poster girl for balance.
Probably not.
Not to mention still finding time for Pilates and working out. Like, I just be like, see again, the comparison, like, I gotta get on my zone. I gotta get on my zone. So how do you pursue purpose while still managing work, responsibilities, and all the different facets of life?
So I have like a little knack. So I have things I do. I mean, I'm calling it a knack. I have things that I do because I have to do them or because it's my obligation. And I feel like if I'm going to show up in that way, then I have to show up in the way where, you know, for the things that fuel me. So it's kind of like that balance. So it's like, I guess the thing, like the purpose things is like the energy and the battery. I need that to show up in the other, like in my other capacities. So for example, I have work. If I'm going to be happy and, you know, functional and useful at work, then I need to pour into the other areas of my life, which is purpose. So I think that's what it is for me.
I like that.
I'm big on I'm big on structure and boundaries.
Okay.
And I think that's maybe why it's easier for me to balance, because I'm the person who will wake up early and I will like set boundaries around my time. I will say no to things that I don't want to do, or I
Okay.
feel like it's not aligned with the life that I want to live and where I'm going or what I'm called to do. So maybe doing those things makes it easier, but definitely, I guess ultimately, I see like the purpose and the Pilates and all those other things as the fuel that keeps me going to show up in
different
my other
places.
obligations. Yeah.
No, I fully get that. And boundaries is everything. I'm supposed to ask you. Maybe not. I can't remember. Anyway, I edit it out. if it has to be edited out, I messaged you, I think twice, and it was before 10 a.m. And it's only do one tick. Your phone is be off 8. Because I was like, this is a good thing to have.
No. My phone don't be off. I don't know if sometimes I find like messages would come through
Later.
and it'll be one tick, and then when I put it in my hand, 2 ticks.
Oh.
I don't know.
No, because I was supposed to tell you about that, because I was like, it happened twice, and I'm like, I actually like this. I'm like, yeah, I can't message Shante before 10 a.m. So and I'm like, I like that, because I used to just been where like, oh, I have to leave my phone off and do not disturb, because again, I live away from my family. If anything happens, I want to be able to access me. But I also find that I already have 2 numbers, 2 different phones. Only certain people can still message me, and I still feel like I'm still too accessible. And I also think the biggest thing for me right now, I like what you said about fueling. So I just want to add to that to say that thing, and literally only in messaging you that I was like, oh, I probably have to put a little boundary around when people could access me by phone.
Oh, don't talk about the phone now. My phone get plenty locks and boundaries on it.
Like because that's where most of our time and attention goes.
Yeah.
It's a time stealer.
All kind of people archive. I love the archive. That's like,
Archive and mute.
oh yes, my favorite buttons.
So that was a part of it for me, and then also realizing I need to get on regime.
Yeah.
Again, going back to listening to who we would deem successful people, the millionaires, the billionaires, the people that run particular companies, they live a structured life. I know persons personally on the island in different places that excel in their careers, excel in balancing motherhood and all the things. They would tell you, Cole, like, I have a regime, like I have a thing that I have to do. And I just admire it. And then it's like you said too, the whole thing of making sure that you fuel the things back into you. And just doing it. Like, I have friends like y'all is be in the gym, Jonella's in the room, Jonella's be in the gym, and I feel like, how y'all finding time? Like, I like to see it, because it's like, becoming requires you to do the thing. It requires you to figure out what are the things that you need to be able to sustain. So I'm becoming a better woman. I'm becoming a better version of myself, but I have to figure out what are the things that I need to do to make sure that I become, like, what's the formula? Right.
Exactly.
And then you have to stick to that. And I always go back to, and I get so irritated with myself, because it's like, again, Jonella's in the room. She was my roommate in not law school, but undergrad.
Yeah.
And I gotta do it all nighter now. Like, I don't like. I used to envy people like them that could come from other class. They go and go take a nap. I think sis girl go take a little 2-second nap. I don't want you going there, knock out. So first of all, I then mad because I can't nap in the day. To this day, I can't nap. So what that means is I was like, I gotta do my work. Don't invite me nowhere. I ain't going to no fete. I ain't doing nothing, because I am here to do a particular thing.
Yeah.
So I always just be so mad at myself, because it was like, you were disciplined enough to do what you need to do and create your own formula and equation of how you was going to spend your time for you to get this degree. So why you can't carry that same level of discipline when it comes to you becoming the woman that you envision yourself becoming? And so it's very important. And even in,
I think you should still go easy on yourself, because in academia is more structured, because those deadlines and stuff, they aren't ours. We have someone else breathing down our throat saying, okay, you have to do this, you have to do that. You know what I mean? But now the ball's in your court. So
yeah, but it means that I just also lack discipline and structure. Now again, I'm getting better at it, but honestly, it's like emotions is like, if I don't feel like it, I'm not doing it. And the reality of it is, put emotions aside. You have certain things that you need to do. And to be honest, even when you think about it, I saw this TikTok say it before, like, treat yourself the way you would treat your child, meaning that you wouldn't have your child on her phone all night. You wouldn't have your child eating any and everything. Like, treat yourself as if you would, as if you're growing up yourself as a child. So yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is just, like I said, teaching myself as if I was a child, being focused on the fact that you're going to have to curate a particular lifestyle for yourself, and learning to learn what you like you said earlier on about the Pilates and stuff like that, and all these other things that pour back into you is important. I don't want to wait until, I become the mother, become the spouse to try to figure that out. So just disciplining myself, making sure I understand myself, know what I need. You've already identified what brings you joy, what refuels you. You know what your charging plug look like. I have an idea what my charging plug look like, but I don't have balance enough yet in my life to be able to plug back in, because I'm showing up in certain spaces. I'm depleting myself, like you said, knowing what to say no to, because I do life in such a soulless way right now and so isolated in the fact that it's just me doing life, it is a bit difficult, but I think I still could do more. So I fully agree with that, what we talked about. So I guess we could go into, do you think calling requires a drastic life change?
I think sometimes it does. Not in every instance. Your calling is different from mine,
Okay.
which is different from someone else's. So for me, my calling, being in medicine, like there could be overlap sometimes or a lot of times. So it may not require me to make huge changes. For somebody else, it may be a completely different arena. You know what I mean?
So depending on the calling.
Depending on what your calling is, it might or it may not.
Yeah, so that part of it I definitely agree with. I think the other part is I think it follows what we just talked about. I think you may have to have a drastic life change as far as your habits. So Dr. Miles Monroe says your purpose chooses your habits. And I think, again, going back to discipline, in order for you to show up, like we talked about, you have to do particular things. You have to have certain things set in place. And so depending on if you aren't a disciplined person, you may have to drastically become a disciplined person. The things that we talked about as far as when you become a mother, a wife, a drastic change may be you can't show up in a particular type of way. You may have to do life a little bit differently for a while or whatever it may be. So it depends. But I like the aspect that you brought, being that depending on what your calling is, it may require something different from you. Because I can imagine if someone's calling is to be a missionary, good Lord. I need you to go into X, Y, and Z. And like that's a full drastic life change. Even to put your mind around, like that's a different culture shift, all the things. So yeah, I think it really does depend. But I think ultimately, for those of us being the carnality, I think going from being carnally led to being spirit led is a drastic life change in my mind. And I think that's very important when you for you to walk in calling.
And even with discipline, like on Bible study a few weeks ago, I was telling them that I always look at it like this. At the end of my life, I have to give an account to God for, what I did with my time. Like I literally have to stand before him and say, okay, this is what I did with the time that you gave me.
Right.
But in a few years, I have to give an account to my future self. So I have to face her. I have to look in the mirror and see her.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, what did you do? So every time I think about standing before those two people, I'm afraid because I don't want to face my future self and not live up to, my dreams, my goals, my plans. I don't want to let myself down. And I definitely don't want to let God down. So that helps me to be disciplined too. Whereas, okay, you're not coasting. You have a goal. And you have to give an account, and whether it's tomorrow or next year or whenever, but you have, there's accountability there.
No, I fully get that. Especially that whole thing, I hold myself accountable the next couple of years.
Yeah.
It's crazy because I also said when I left, no, it wasn't, I even get an email yet. I feel like it's been 5 years. I wrote myself an email. There's this website where it says note to self, and you can send yourself an email in the future. And there were certain things I put on. I was like, I hope that by now you've settled X, Y, and Z. I hope by now you've figured out X, Y, and Z. And every time my mind comes back on it, I just get a little, scared. I just be like, oh my God, I don't know.
Yeah.
Have I put myself in a position to be able to answer these questions? So I get that holding yourself accountable really is a big thing, and understand that we're gonna have to give an account.
Yeah.
We're called to be steward of not just money, but steward of time and talents as well. So that's an excellent point. So why do we sometimes wait for perfect conditions before moving, and do perfect conditions even exist?
I think it's a human thing. And I try not to be so hard on myself. It's just human nature. Like, we have to see, we have to know. That's why we have our senses. So we can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can taste. It helps us to navigate life, like physical life. So if you don't know, the not knowing and the unknown is very scary. Like, even, for example, if we would turn off the lights, we don't want to walk because we can't see.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. If we don't know the next step, or we don't know how it's going to turn out, we're very afraid, and we want to stay comfortable and we want to stay in the know. And because of that, we hesitate. So I think that's a major reason why.
And do perfect conditions exist?
Oh, they don't. They do not. It does not. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist anywhere. I feel like perfection is a fraud. Like, the whole idea of perfection is a fraud. Even in the body, like, we're not even completely symmetrical. Certain part, like my left hand may be bigger than my right hand. This spoon may be bigger than the next one. You know what I mean? Like, there's no such thing as perfection. And I feel like sometimes we are enslaved to this idea of perfect conditions and perfect everything. And because of that, it keeps us paralyzed. We don't ever do anything. So I like to say done is better than perfect. We'll work out the details later.
Yeah.
But you got to do something. You can't just be sitting down all the time waiting for the perfect condition because it's never going to happen. It's a dream.
Love it. Love it. And what I get from that is perfection is not the standard, nor is it the goalpost.
No.
Because it don't exist.
No.
So if you continue to try to be perfect, is not gonna be a thing. So don't even strive towards it, and then don't wait for perfect conditions. It's never going to be perfect conditions. It doesn't exist. And I think the biggest thing is just doing, like going the whole thing, executing, and you get better. You probably won't ever get perfect, but you get better. And I think that the real thing for us to realize, especially as millennials, we've seen so many different things, so many shifts. I was looking at a study the other day talking about how many Black professionals have MBAs and how recruiters, and not just Black, but that particular study was focused on Black, and how recruiters now don't even look at that. I remember when I was applying to a particular law firm, and the conversation was around, I want to say an LLM, and it was an LLM in maritime specifically, and the HR person was like, I didn't see so much of them, and the partners is like, yeah, every is a dime and a dozen, like it don't have no value. And it's crazy because I only could imagine like our boomer parents, and even, just not even so far ago, persons striving to become master degree holders, and now it's like, okay, now it's something else. And imagine, again, the percentages of doctors are also increasing, and imagine how many of us, okay, even if it's a doctorate, it's like you always trying to wait until you have X, Y, and Z, X amount of initials behind your name. And really and truly, when you go back to it, it's like God is not requiring you to have those initials behind your name before you do what you're called to do. And more importantly, that's not a prerequisite. That's not a prerequisite to the call. Obedience is, discipline is, and trusting me is, faith is a part, is the main prerequisite. And so I think we just have to relook at how it works. And that's why I try to always remind myself that I'm in the world, not of the world. And so the way that success is going to look like for me does not have to look the way that it's done. And so removing this mentality off my mind that I have to follow this regime, going back to what you said early on, our boomer parents said do X, Y, and Z. Like we were sold this thing, like if you do this, it's going to equal this. And it's not that. Things have shifted so much over the years. And if you continue to try to fit yourself within that particular mold, you'll drown. Again, recently a statistic I saw was that there are now more women in their 30s that have never been married and never had children than there's ever been. And so it was, and I think the gist of that post was saying, so instead of thinking that you're behind, realize that the norm has changed. And it's like, how many stats and logistical elements in life have now changed, but we're still thinking that, perfectionism look this way, success looks this way, and it's like, nah, life has changed. And stop trying to fit yourself within a mold. Stop going out, make your own lane. That's why I said earlier on, like I continuously pray, like, Lord, help me to focus on the path that you've predestined for me. And even we're talking to my brother the other day, because Gen Z is, you think millennials bad?
Oh, no.
Like Gen Z is like talking to my brother sometimes. We legit have a conversation. He's like, oh, I trying to be the six figures. Bro, you just graduated. You graduated in May.
Yesterday.
In May of last year. What six figures are you talking about? Are you mad? like let's be for real. And I don't really see.
I think they have more of social media to deal with. And you have a lot of millionaires on social media. So it seems. But even then, I think, again, I always looking at stats or postable stats. They were talking about the fact that it's still not even that much millionaires the way that you think it is. It's what we see. So we think it's that way, but it's not that way.
And that's what I tell him.
It's changed our perception of reality.
And he started calling names of people that we know that may have done X, Y, and Z. If certain fields, he started saying, oh, maybe I should have gone this Y and Z field or whatever. And I'm like, bro.
Everybody feels that way.
I know the plans I have for you.
Exactly.
The plan is for you.
Yep.
I know the plan for success.
Yeah.
I know the plans I have for you to give you a bright future of hope, like for you. So just be okay with understanding that the plan that is already predestined is fine. Like that's the only thing that's perfect. And you just follow that. Whatever way that looks, just follow that. And it's hard, but it's necessary. And I have to continuously ground myself in that understanding that life does not have to look a particular way. Success can look how God wanted to look for me, and just remove everything I thought about life. Everything I thought about life, everything I thought about the plan and all this stuff. And just know that, like we said, perfectionism is not a requirement. It doesn't exist, like you said, and so just move with what you need to move with.
I think something that I've been kind of self-soothing with too is like, okay, my parents did their best. I have great parents. Like I can't
shout out to them.
I can't say that enough. But I feel like in certain regards, they prepared me for a world that doesn't exist anymore. So it's like, you know, they did the best that they
Could.
knew how to at that time to prepare me for the world.
Right.
But that world doesn't exist anymore.
That's so good.
You know what I mean? And I think because of that now, I have to do the work to unlearn and relearn. And it's hard because you still have a lot of people holding that same standard of success or what life should look like, and they're going hard in that direction. So for me, someone who's, you know, shifting more now to purpose and calling, I don't have safe spaces where I can feel 100% okay saying that, okay, this is what I want to do, especially in medicine. Oh no, we have one, you can't sit with us. We have one way we do things, and if you don't follow that path, according to them, you're a loser.
That's
So
crazy.
I think, you know, sometimes, you know, it's like you go to medical school, you come out, you specialize, you do subspecialty, like this is how it works. And if you fall outside of that, then it's frowned upon. So I think we still don't have enough spaces where, especially, you know, whether you're in the faith or not, where calling is accepted, you know?
That's so good. That is so good. And even outside of calling too, I think, just like you said, the whole notion of life doesn't look like what our parents taught us it was going to look like. And so having safe spaces just say like, okay, this is not what we wanted, but what we thought, or I'm confused, I don't know what's going on, I don't know how to recalibrate, I don't know how to unlearn and relearn. And it's interesting because
it's a good place to be, because then you now make the rules. And I remind myself like, okay, there's no one way. So you get to define what your life looks like, and there's beauty in that. It's also scary, but then you get to make life what you want it to be, because now we realize that everything that we've been told for the most part isn't what it is, you know?
I like that. And I think that a lot of people could find value in that, and encouragement as well. Speaking of encouragement, so I want to just end with us giving some encouragement to the listeners. So what would you say to someone who knows they're called by God but feels stuck in that calling?
Feel stuck, like just knowing and the knowing and not
in the execution.
Okay. I would say get clear on what you really want.
Okay.
So I'm reading this book called, again, I'm rereading this book. It's called A Mountain Is You. And she talks a lot about in the book about self-sabotage. And she was saying that sometimes we're self-sabotaging because we think we know what we truly want, but we don't know what we truly want. We're not completely clear on what we truly want. So I would say get clear on what it is that you want, how you want your life to look, separate from what, you know, people's opinions or how, you know, culture, society, whatever it is. You get clear on what it is that you want. And I think that's the first step, because then when you know what you truly want, how you want your life to look, then it's easier to move in that direction. It's not going to be easy breezy, but it's easier when you know what it is you truly want deep down.
Love that. I don't even have nothing to add to that. What's one thing people can start doing today to move toward their calling?
Again, getting clear on what it is that you want to do. And then once you get clear, I would say try to break it down in steps. Sometimes we feel like we have to do everything all at once, but we can't do everything all at once. So I would say get clear on what it is that you want to do, and then start making small steps in that direction. And a small step may look different for everybody else. You know where you're at, you know what your schedule looks like. You know, most times we know the next immediate thing that we need to do. But we just don't do it. So I would say get clear on what it is that you want to do, and then make the next move. And we'd be surprised, you know, sometimes I find that when I do that, everything just unfolds, but I have to make that first step first before anything else unfolds. So
And I think what I love it, and what I would add to that based on what you just said that came to my mind is I start looking at God in the sense of, I want to say human, but I don't want to bring him down to a level. When I say human, I mean in like, think about it in the same way. Like, would you trust someone with more if the thing that they could do within themselves they're not doing? And so I think about it in the same way. Like, you know, show yourself to be proven. Like you wouldn't if you're an employee or and even as a parent, you know, you don't want to give your child too much leeway, because the very leeway I've given you, you've shown not to be responsible, and you've not been a good steward of. And so, like you said, that one step may bring, you know, unfold a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of stuff. And like I said earlier on, sometimes I just be like, God is just be like, just do that, do that. Like all of this is right there. Like literally, just do that one thing. Like trust me, do that, and then everything would be clear. But it's like the imposter syndrome, the doubt, the fear, the procrastination, the need for perfectionism. It's like I can't do it.
Too much,
And like, God, you're not telling me. I didn't tell you everything, but I told you to do that, and you've not been obedient with that. So I love that. So Shante, we've gotten to the end of everything that we said that we were going to speak about. Honestly, the camera was here, but this just feels like we meet up for lunch and we had conversations about stuff that we've been talking about. So like I said, I believe in giving you your flowers. I don't have I should have given you these, but I don't have real flowers to give you. But I just want to let you know, we talk about it a lot, but I get, again, publicly emphasizing that you do a lot. Mm-hmm. It's admirable to watch you become. And if even now, in the short space of time that you've been on earth, that you've been able to do so much with what God has given you, I only could imagine who you would ultimately become in the earth. And I just pray that you would just continue to grow, that you would continue to trust yourself, that you would continue to allow God to use you to show up in different ways, that you show up. You're a great friend. From what I know from your family, you're a great family member as well. Sister, daughter, all the things. And I just pray that God continues to water you. Like the seeds that are in you, I pray that He continues to water you with grace and favor and blessings and all the things that you need to be able to bring forth the fruits. And I hope that you don't give up. I hope that you see yourself the way that we see you. More people are going to be introduced to you by now, I guess, through this. You're ready. You're a big deal on TikTok already, as we've seen today. But I hope that once persons get to interact with you, that they'll probably share words of encouragement like, oh my God, this blessed me. So you could just be reminded of how much you've already done. Like, who you've already became.
It's probably going to just slide straight
and then we can slap it back in your head again. So thank you so much for joining me today.
It was a pleasure.
It really was.
And the same goes for you too. You know how I feel about you already. A force to be reckoned with. And I know there's so much more ahead. And I'm just excited to see where your brand goes, where the podcast goes, and hopefully it goes even beyond where I'm thinking, and that's already far. So kudos to you too.
Appreciate that. So let the people know where they can find you.
So
she needs to come on social media to do over, so don't be in there trying to engage.
To click like, it's probably not gonna be. I don't see those things. But on Instagram, I'm Lashante Stubbs, and then on TikTok, it's @TaySo_extra, the traveling doc. Find me, connect, like couple stuff, share, comment, save the favorites. I'd appreciate it.
Love that. So before we go, I'm going to pray. So, Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus, I thank you for this opportunity yet again to be in the hearts and minds of the listeners. God, I thank you for those that are on the other end of the screen that have been a part of this conversation. God, I pray that whatever has been said, Father God, would truly be seeds that have been sown into their minds and their hearts that will bring forth fruit in the time that you've predestined for it to bring. God, I pray that there has been liberation through this conversation. I pray that there has been new insight given, new wisdom gained based on this conversation. I pray that the listeners would just be encouraged to move beyond the thought of being called to actually walking in their calling. I pray that you would continue to bring people into their lives that will encourage them, that will remind them of the calling on their lives and help them. I pray for destiny helpers to be connected to each and every one of us. God, I thank you so much for Dr. Lashante Stubbs. I thank you for the friend that she is to me. I thank you for the consistent word of encouragement that she brings. I thank you for her life, God. I thank you for the calling that you've placed on her life, Father. I thank you for giving her the wisdom, the strength, the consistency, the resilience to continue to push beyond even her own human capacity. And Father God, I pray that you would just continue to bless her, Father. I pray that you would just continue to take hold of everything concerning her life, oh God. I pray that you would just continue to remind her of who she is to the kingdom, God. I pray that her light will continue to shine bright in every room that she walks into, God. Continue to cover her career, give her wisdom concerning that. I pray for her kingdom spouse even now. I pray over her children even now. I pray over her womb even now that it's blessed. I thank you, Father God, for who is Dr. Lashante Stubbs. And I thank you for allowing her to be a part of this conversation today. I give you all praise and all glory due unto your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
So guys, like, share, all the things. I never had a closing. I'm going to work on a closing. But like, share, comment, subscribe, all the things. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And if you didn't, too bad, because honestly, this is just a conversation between me and my good sis. And thank you guys for tuning in. Toodles.